Yes, here we go now, baby. We are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Before You Bet right here on the Covers YouTube channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button right down there. And it brings me great pleasure to once again say that we are once again coming off of another winning show on Monday. So we're going to try to bring that winning energy into today. A good-looking Thursday night football game, at least from a betting perspective here tonight. So we have 4 total bets for that. We'll look ahead to Sunday for a bet as well in the NFL. We're going to get into college football championship week with Brad Powers, some best bets from him, and we will end the show with our best bets for the NBA tonight. Nice looking slate in the NBA. Before we get into it, guys, if you like the show, it's easy to let us know. Just hit the like button right down there. Make sure you are subscribed as well. We have our fancy subscribe graphic there. We paid thousands of dollars. We used our entire graphics budget for that fancy looking graphic there. So let us know that it's working by subscribing to the Covers YouTube channel. Lots of great content here. Okay, let's get into my first guest of the day in this traditional Thursday spot. I think we know which team he's supporting here. The man with the sexiest smile in all of sports betting. I will tell the people, though, I think he's a married guy. So any unwanted advances will not be tolerated. This is a family show, and we're going to keep it like that. Jingles, you are fresh off a road trip from Pittsburgh. How was the Steel City?
People from Pittsburgh are very nice people. Probably should have got in more trouble than I did, but the people were absolutely fantastic. What a city. Like rolling in over the bridge, and then you're just like in Pittsburgh. Absolutely gorgeous. Caught a game, went to the casino, had a great time with the boys.
True delight. My Pittsburgh Penguins, of course. Is it still called PNC Park where the Pirates play? Great ballpark. Garbage team, unfortunately. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm happy you had a good time. So let's get right into it here. Thursday night football. And I'll tell you right off the bat here, Jingles and I are taking all of our eggs and putting them right into the basket of the Dallas Cowboys. So a couple different ways to back them here tonight. Let me get us started here. I'm going to take them on the first half spread minus 6.5, minus 108 on the odds on that one. So Dallas 5-0 ATS in the first half at home, where they have an insane plus 19 first half point margin. They're averaging 25.4 first half points at home, allowing just 6.4. A good first half bet overall, regardless of location. 9-2 ATS on the season. I think Seattle's going to have trouble extending drives in this game. 29th in third down offense versus second in third down defense for the Cowboys. The Dallas pass rush, great job at getting to the quarterback. Looks like a good spot for them here versus Seattle, who's allowing the third highest pressure percentage this season. Dallas is tied for the 4th most sacks. Geno Smith going to be very uncomfortable in this game, so I'll take the Cowboys to cover the first half spread. Over to Jingles, your best bet for tonight's game. What are we looking at here?
Let's fade the opponent. Seattle team total under 19.5, minus 15 here. It's just a tough Seattle offense to back. They've been awful on third downs all year. And as you mentioned, they're facing what we'll call an elite pass rush. Pressure percentage is low, but their sack rate's high. So when they do get there, they're not missing. And we saw last week versus San Francisco, 5 sacks, 12 QB hits. Geno Smith got beat up last week. The right side of this Seattle O-line allows the most pressure in all of football. Abe Lucas will be back. He's off the injury report. He hasn't played since week 1. That is good news for protection of Geno, but right guard Phil Haynes has been ruled out. There's a lot to like in what Dallas could create pressure. Zach Charbonnet, if he's not good, we could be seeing some second and longs and third and longs. And basically in the games we saw at the Seattle game, when teams are trying to play catch up versus these good defenses in Dallas and San Francisco, it's so easy just to get beat up. And that's what we saw in the second half of those games. And Joe, you mentioned it. Geno looking more pre-2022 than he is this year. Last year, insane CPOE numbers, kind of regressing this year as more of an average to below average quarterback per rating.
Okay, the support for the Dallas Cowboys continues. I'm going to take the over on their team total. It's at 28.5. So Seahawks defense, whenever they go up against a good offense, they're pretty much getting blasted. They've allowed 31 or more points to the Lions, Ravens, and the 49ers. Even the Panthers got to 27 against them somehow earlier in the season. So this is not a good defense. Cowboys offense might be the best in the NFL, especially at home. They've topped this number 28.5 in all 5 of their home games, where they are averaging an insane 41 points per game. They've gotten into the 40s on 3 separate occasions at home. And Seattle's defense is really bad in 2 key areas. They are 27th in third down defense, and they are 29th in red zone defense. So Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball. If they do get in close, expect touchdowns, not field goals. My favorite prop for the game, I'm going to take Tony Pollard to go over his receiving yard total of 19.5. So this is an area of weakness for Seattle. They're struggling to defend running backs in the pass game. They've allowed the 6th most yards, receiving yards, to running backs, an average of 41.9 per game. Pollard typically pretty heavily involved in the pass game for running back, at least 5 or more targets in 5 of his last 7 games. And here's the thing. He's just got to be average. He's averaging 21.1 receiving yards per game, going up against an inferior opponent. So Jingles, all of our eggs directly into that Cowboys basket. You know what that means? The Seahawks are going to be up 20-3 at halftime here. Put us out of our misery early.
Yeah.
No, it's one of these games. Everything on paper is pointing towards the Cowboys. Usually in situations like this, I can get into trouble, but they've just been so goddamn dominant at home. So I do expect that to continue. Let's get into your best bet here for Sunday. You're looking at this game between the Chargers and the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the Pats. Team total under 17.5. It's good. It can't close it at this number. It's got to close at 16. This is probably the last 17.5 you're going to find, and it's worth the extra 10 points. This is a New England team that came out of the bye. They had the extra time to prep. Bill Belichick and this offense combined to put up 13 points versus the number 31 and number 25 defense per success rate in the Colts and Giants. Mac Jones might be QB3 heading into this week. I think that's a slight downgrade on this entire offense. They've scored 18 or more points just once in their last 10 games. They could be the worst scoring offense in football following this week. I think the number between them and the Giants is quite close. We could see that. And this isn't even a knock at the Chargers. Like, the Chargers have an average defense right now, and New England's just failing to score versus some of the worst defenses in all of football. Mac Jones has lost his confidence. He's lost the locker room. No one on this team is happy. Demario Douglas is dealing with concussion. It could be Devontae Parker, wide receiver 1. There's not a lot to like. And I don't know, maybe the Chargers come out and don't play a great game, and this game's more neutral, as we see. We could see, I don't know, a 14-13 game here on Sunday, but New England team total under all the way until that number hits 16.5.
Yeah, things most certainly a complete and total mess in New England. Messy enough, though, they'll probably get them a top 3 pick in the upcoming draft. So losing will be in their best interest 100%. Okay, Jingles, we'll leave it at that for your appearance today. But before you go, let the great viewers of Before You Bet know what you have going on over at covers.com and here on the Covers YouTube channel.
I'll be live for today's game. A little halftime live action bets available. Follow me on X there. We'll be doing hockey stuff on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, live releases at 10 a.m. And then the Blitz Show, which still is cruising at like 20% ROI, is absolutely insane through 12 weeks, sorry. Yeah, there for every primetime game. We got a bunch. We're on Zach Charbonnet over, what's the number, 41.5, but we like it up to 46. And then Gino over 220, and that number's probably good up to 226. So some Blitz, some hockey, and that's where we are, pal.
All over the map. All right, Jingles, thanks again for joining us. Best of luck with those bets here tonight, and we will catch you again next week.
Go boys.
Yes, sir. You notice he said follow me on X. I still call it Twitter. Some people say Twitter/X. Let's ask our next guest what he calls it. Let's get into the college football here. Brad, are you calling it X yet, or do you still call it Twitter?
Probably 60-40 Twitter. Still,
yeah.
And I'm the Twitter/X guy, I guess.
Okay,
I guess
right on.
I prefer just to call it Twitter, like we did for 15 damn years.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm always just going to call it Twitter. So obviously, we got a lot to discuss here, and the big topic here in sports media for college football is who's going to get into the college football playoff. Obviously, we have some things to work out this weekend before that is decided. But my question to you is, who would you personally put in as the four teams, and who do you think ultimately does get in?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the question you got to ask yourself, who most deserves to be in? Are we going most deserving teams or are we going best teams? Because that's a completely different question to ask. I'm going to use a combination. How about that? Obviously, best team, most deserving would be Georgia, particularly if they won the SEC championship game. Oregon or the winner of the Pac-12. I think it's going to be Oregon. Obviously, there's a reason why they're a near double-digit favorite in this game. Oregon would be there. Michigan's obvious answer. They're going to beat Iowa. They'll be right there and the number 2 seed if they were to win. So those are 3 slam dunks there: Georgia, Oregon, Michigan. Then after that, it gets a little tricky. I would say this: Florida State wins. They're 13-0. They would be most deserving. Would they be one of the best? Absolutely not. I don't even have them in the top 15 of my power ratings without their starting quarterback. If they were to lose, and I think there's a good chance of that happening, they're only a 2.5-point favorite. I would go with Texas, provided they beat Oklahoma State and they're a 2-touchdown plus favorite in that one. Texas would be my 4th team. And that's kind of what I prefer, Joe. Georgia versus Texas in the Sugar Bowl. And then for the final time in old school, Pac-12 champ versus Big Ten champ, Oregon versus Michigan in the Rose Bowl. That's what I want.
Indeed. I would love to see it. Okay, so before we get there, we have a conference championship weekend. If you missed Brad's appearance on Monday's show, he gave out Boise State -2.5 in the Mountain West championship game. If you want his analysis for that, you can go back and watch Monday's show. Let's get into another best bet that you're adding to that. Then we have a few more games to discuss. So the game I'm most looking forward to this weekend, Georgia, Alabama. We have a total of 54. Do you think this is going to be a fun game and go over that number?
I do. Over 54 for a couple of reasons. Number one, let's talk about trend lines here. Alabama's offense, best 4-week sample size, last 4-week sample size for them. They're playing with a lot of confidence on the offense side of the ball. In fact, the last 4 games, they're averaging 15 points per game more than what they were the first 8 games of the season. So I like the trend line for the Alabama offense. I don't like the trend line for the Georgia defense. They've actually allowed 166 rushing yards per game the last 4 weeks. That's almost 100 yards more than what they've been giving up the last 3 years. So trend line for their defense isn't good. Also, Georgia's offense, this might be the best offense they've had in this last 5-6 year run. So I do like the Georgia offense quite a bit, and they're the healthiest they've been all season. And Alabama's defense, below average. If you're comparing it to recent Alabama defenses, they just don't have the same playmakers that they've had in recent years.
Okay, so hopefully a fun one there for the SEC championship game. Next up, let's get into some more big games, and let's start with the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon, Washington. Another total here, a pretty high one, 66. Which direction are you going for this one?
Yeah, and I think Oregon's the right side, but I mean, it's shocking to lay the 9.5 here, especially when they were an underdog in the first matchup. Let's go under. And it kind of correlates with Oregon being the right side in the fact, why is Washington, even though they're 12-0 and they haven't lost a game, why has the market not felt so good about them? And it all has to do with the downgrade of their offense in the last 6 games of the season, particularly the play of the quarterback, Michael Penix. This is a guy that was completing more than 70% of his passes, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, nearly 400 passing yards per game the first 6 games of the season. Last 6 games, 250 passing yards per game, less than 60% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, he's played like an average quarterback the last 6 games. And because of that, let's go ahead and go under here. I think Oregon's defense will have success.
Okay, let us wrap with, once again, another total. Viewers of the show know that I prefer totals to spread, so excited to see that you have a few of them here. So let's wrap with the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State, Texas. This one has a total of 55. You thinking over, or are you thinking under for this one?
Yeah, and that's also why do we have totals? Well, we're down to 10 games. I mean, you're trying to find the best value picks that people can get. I mean, you're going to sign more totals than anything here. We're going to go over. And to me, it comes down to this, the fact that Texas has no idea what's going to happen. This is the first game of the day. they need margin because they're not in a good spot. They're outside looking in as far as the playoffs. If they have an opportunity to put an extra score on Oklahoma State, they're going to have to impress the voters. So not only that, but Oklahoma State's defense, we're talking defense that doesn't even rank in the top 100 in yards per play and yards per game allowed. So I think Texas offense will have success. I also think Oklahoma State's capable of moving the football against Texas defense, particularly through the air.
Okay, there we go. Hopefully another fun one. Okay, Brad, we will leave it at that. Thanks as always for joining us. Have a blast watching these games this weekend. We have a couple good ones, and we'll catch you again on Monday where we will have a lot to discuss. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, we will. Take care. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Yes, sir. The man right there. Okay, we are moving on now to the National Basketball Association. This guy's been a great addition to the show. Jon Metler absolutely crushing it with these under-the-radar props that he's giving out. So, John, between the two of us, we have 3 or 4 bets in the NBA tonight. But I want to run something by you. So, for the first time all season, we have a new favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Chet Holmgren has overtaken Wemby. Holmgren, I'm looking at DraftKings right now. He's minus 130. Wemby still minus money, minus 105. What do you think of this move? Why did it happen? And ultimately, who do you think ends up winning this thing?
Yeah, I think it's like for Chet Holmgren, it's just an efficiency thing, right? Like he's playing on the Thunder, he's winning. His points and like rebounds and blocks are just slightly below Wemby, but he's doing it at a much more efficient rate. So that's kind of why he's taking over Wemby. He's also had some dramatic plays like that 3-pointer against the Warriors in the corner and stuff like that. From like the whole betting side of things, I personally have a bet on Wembanyama at plus 130 to win Rookie of the Year. I placed it in preseason. I don't have a bet on Holmgren. If I was betting on it now, I don't know if Chet can win the vote. And we're betting on not necessarily what I think, we're betting on what we think the voters will do. I'm just concerned that the idea that, he's beating him in efficiency, but he also gets to play with the Thunder, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with all these other weapons that help him with that efficiency. He got coaching for a year, and I know it's not fair to judge him on that. If he's the best rookie, he should win. That's what I think. But I'm just thinking of like how the voters might view it. I would just be concerned about that. Like Wemby's, the NBA wants Wembanyama to win. I don't think that's a secret. I don't think they would like that someone not from his rookie class takes the rookie away from someone they're hyping up to be a generational talent, the next generational talent since LeBron James. I think that would kind of like bother the NBA. So I would just be concerned about kind of like Chet kind of has like a lot of narratives working against him. If you got 9-1 during summer league, you're laughing. It's a great bet. If you're jumping in at minus 130 now, I'd be slightly concerned with that number. I don't think I could get there with Chet, like kind of in the minus money. But if you're like sitting on 5, 6, 7-1 from earlier, great bet. I would probably be looking at if Wembanyama can move into like a nice plus money, like plus 200, I might be looking at locking it up if you have that bet in pocket.
Yeah, I don't like minus money on anyone in basically any award market unless we're very close to the end of a season. I remember in Major League Baseball, Mike Trout would be minus money going into a season multiple times. And it's like, all he's got to do is get injured. And if he misses, 35, 40 games, that's it. So yeah, no interest for me for either of these guys, because if either of them goes down with an injury, that's it. But I do understand what you mean about the bias that's kind of cooked in here with a lot of the voters towards Wemby. Like it basically was a foregone conclusion that he was going to win the award. So I think Holmgren would have to significantly outplay him here throughout the course of the season. Okay, John, let's get into our bets tonight. I like a lot. You like a little. So I have 3. You have 1. So I'll get us started here. I'm going to go with the Nets to cover the first half spread, minus 4.5. They are hosting the Charlotte Hornets, and the Charlotte Hornets are getting absolutely blasted in the first half of games. They are 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 first halves with a minus 8.8 point margin. We should expect success from 3-point land as the Hornets are really struggling to defend the perimeter. The Nets are 5th in 3-point percentage over the last 10 games. The Hornets are allowing the most threes per game in that 10-game sample size. And ugly all-around defensive numbers for the Hornets, especially on the road. They're dead last in opponent EFG shooting percentage over the last 10 games. They're allowing the second most points per 100 possessions in road games for the season. Solid defense from the Nets here lately. And for what it's worth, they did outscore the Hornets by 11 in Charlotte in the first half when they played earlier in the season. And of course, no LaMelo Ball in the lineup here for Charlotte. Okay, let's throw to John. Once again, he's got an under the radar prop look. What are we looking at here, John?
So I'm taking Lou Dort over 7.5 points. I bet it at -109. There was -115 right now at 365. It's still available. It's FanDuel also had a good price, but I moved quite a bit at FanDuel. So Lou Dort, I don't think it's a secret. He's gone under a lot recently, but this is a much different total. Like when you're talking about 7.5 versus a 12.5, that is a big difference for a player. So I'll talk about the basketball side of things here with Dort and why I specifically like it tonight. So if you're the Lakers don't have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a problem for the Lakers. And then you have Anthony Davis on the interior. He's a good defender. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm putting Anthony Davis on Chet Holmgren. You're not sending help. It's Anthony Davis one-on-one, Chet Holmgren. He can handle that. So the help defense is going to be more focused on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let's clog the lane. That's what they did to him last year. Let's help. Let's pinch in. Let's try to stop him from the mid-range jumper, getting through the lane. So if you're the Thunder, the counter for that is you got to bring in shooters. We have to be able to space these defenders out. We have to give SGA room to operate. So how do we do that? More Lou Dort minutes, more Isaiah Joe minutes. I think you're going to see both of them play together a lot tonight. I think you might see Josh Giddey get faded a little bit just because he's not a great shooter. So if you're the Lakers, the same thing, the same reason you might not want to bet on Lou Dort's over for his points prop, I get it, is the same reason the Lakers are probably going to use that defender as a help defender, because are we going to send our help from Isaiah Joe, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire NBA, or are we going to send it from Lou Dort? I just think you're going to see Dort get a lot of opportunity. Hopefully he makes the shots. I just think there's going to be a lot more opportunity for Dort tonight, and that's kind of what I'm attacking here. And the lower total, like 12.5 to 7.5 is massive, massive move for Dort. So I think you gotta take him up on that number coming down.
Yeah, we got to support our fellow Canadians as well, John. So good shout there for Lou Dort. Okay, so let's stick in this game for my next bet. I'm going to take the Thunder to cover the first quarter spread, -1.5 points, -110. So the Thunder, maybe you've been paying attention, maybe you haven't, but they've been absolutely flying in the first quarter of games. They have a +8 point margin in the first quarter over their last 7 games. They've been good in the spot all season, 12-5 ATS in the first quarter. Slow starts on the road for the Lakers. They're 29th in first quarter points allowed in away games. As a result of that, they are 3-7 ATS in the first quarter on the road. In stark contrast, fantastic first quarter defense from the Thunder. During their 7-game tear, their first and first quarter opponent EFG percentage, allowing a league best 23.3 first quarter points. And I will bring it home for us. Good looking game here tonight. We have the Clippers taking on the Golden State Warriors. I think the Clippers give them a game. I'm going to take them to cover the +5 spread here. So you dig into the numbers. Clippers are close or better in many key stats, and they're starting to right the ship here. So last 10 games, the Warriors are shooting it just a little bit better, and that's about it. Clippers much better on the defensive end, and they're starting to put the pieces together here with James Harden in the lineup on a decent stretch. That's seen them go 5-2 straight up in their last 7 quality wins over the Kings, Mavs, and Rockets. Golden State, they're playing very sloppy basketball, and they're struggling versus quality teams. So their last 10 games, they're 26 in turnover percentage. Clippers much more disciplined. They rank 6th in that category. Warriors, they're also doing basically nothing about losing versus quality teams. They're 2-8 in the last 10 games, outright losses to the Cavs, Nuggets, Timberwolves twice, Thunder twice, Suns, and Kings. And we should expect a major edge at the free throw line here for the Clippers. They're great at getting to the line. They are 4th in free throw attempt rate over the last 10 games. Golden State 29th in opponent free throw attempt rate in that same span. So I like the Clippers to take care of business. John, before you go, how you feel about the state of the in-season tourney? It seemed to be getting a little bit of juice. There's a lot of complaints, though, that maybe they didn't explain it well enough to some of the people. Some of the coaches and players didn't seem to get it either with the point margin and point differential thing. But we're moving on to the next stage of this. So how do you feel about what we saw so far, and what do you think can be improved on for next season?
Yeah, I love it. I think it brings more meaning to the games and stuff. I think a couple things just because of the teams that advanced, and we saw it's kind of I think I don't even know how you can go about it. The issue is, the Knicks got the wild card in the East, and it's really because they had two of the worst teams at the bottom of their group where they could take advantage of that point differential. You have the Wizards and the Hornets, and the Suns got the wild card in the West, and it's the same thing. They got to play the Grizzlies, Trailblazers, and the Jazz. So if you're a team like the Timberwolves, like you go 3-1, but like your games against the Thunder and like all these other good teams, like how are you supposed to get that margin to get the point differential? It's almost, that's what I would look at next year, honestly. If you're looking for the futures market, when all the groups drop, I would definitely be looking to attack like who almost has the worst team in their group, because that's probably where the wild card's coming from. I think they also ran into issues with not everyone playing on the same day. I don't think people like that. I don't think people like that the Celtics knew that because of the Magic were idle, like for example, that they had to get 23. I think they kind of want all those games playing on the same day, so they don't know that. I think that was a huge advantage for the Celtics. I'm not complaining, I'm a Magic fan, but they did it, they accomplished it, so good for them. But I just think that if they could get everyone to play on the exact same day, maybe that last day, or even like East Group A, all tips at 7:30, just kind of make it a little more fair. I think coaches were kind of talking about that too.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's a good thing. Some people think it's stupid, but the NBA, they're trying something new to make add more interest to the regular season. Everyone knows that I hate the load management stuff, and this kind of protects a little bit against that. So maybe some slight improvements there. So we'll look forward to the next round of this thing and some improvements for the in-season tournament next season. But John, we will leave it at that. We thank you again for joining us. You'll be right back with us tomorrow. Big board in the NBA tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing you then.
Sounds good. See you guys tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Okay. Live chat. We have a vote. 73% of the viewers are on the Cowboys. -9 here. A lot of love for the Cowboys here from both the viewers and myself. So let's get into the recap here. My best bets. If you guys missed the top of the show, I like the Cowboys to cover the first half spread. They're 9-2 in the first half, 5-0 in the first half at home this season with a plus 19-point margin. I also like them to go over their team total of 28.5. They're averaging 41 points per game at home. And Pollard to go over his receiving yards. That is a major weakness of the Seattle defense, defending running backs in the pass game. Okay, guys, that does it for today's show. We're going to be right back with you tomorrow. It is our big NFL show. And of course, we'll have bets for the NBA tomorrow as well. But we will leave it at that for today. Best of luck with your bets tonight. Unless, of course, you are fading us. And we will catch you again tomorrow. Woo!